it comes from the Kendrick, this ain't free. Like, it's just being funny. We would just say that. And so I just kind of would say that as a mantra coming up, because I think producers is like, it's crazy that we had to establish that our work wasn't free. And of course, most of the time, payment, the only form of payment typically is monetary, but there's other ways to work it out. And it's not just like, of course, it's pay me my money, but it's like, give me something of real value.
All right, what's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Indie Unplugged. I am, of course, am your host, Bevon. I'm by myself today. Johanse is not here, but no, man, today we have an extraordinary guest today. Let me take a moment to give him his flowers, if nobody's given him his flowers yet. So let me tell you about who our guest is today. So we have in the virtual studio, Rhodes. He is an award winning music producer, composer, filmmaker, educator, and author from Dallas, Texas, who has made a significant impact on the music industry by working with legends such as Dr. Dre, Lecrae, Talib Kweli, and Killer Mike. His notable productions includes Lecrae's Welcome to America, which charted on Billboard's Hot Gospel, and Killer Mike's Yes, featured in Madden NFL 22. As an associate professor at Berklee College of Music, he teaches future music producers how to be great music producers. And he has also authored These Beats Ain't Free, which is if you haven't read it, it's a great book. I remember when the book came out, I bought it, great book. But this book is a guide for aspiring producers to turn their passions into a career. Beyond music, Jay Rhodes addresses critical issues like alcoholism, drug abuse, and depression through musical healing, and has ventured into filmmaking with his acclaimed feature film, It's a Wonderful Plight, which is on Amazon Prime, which is an amazing movie. So y'all make sure y'all go check that out. And he also came out with a new one, which we'll talk about here in a little bit as well. And additionally, he created House of Beats, which is the first reality TV show for music producers, which has gained worldwide attention. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Jay Rhodes. Yeah, what's up,
Epic.
brother?
That's some stuff I ain't even know I did. So that's what's up. I was like, yeah, that's dope. That's a cool dude. No, but I really appreciate you, man. That was a hell of an intro, and it makes me proud just to say that I've took those steps in this career, because we know the music industry and the entertainment industry it's not an easy industry. So to be here at 41, about 2 decades later, is cool.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Yeah, you've done a lot, brother. Like I think the first time, if I was to give context to my introduction to Jay Rhodes, I think it was an ASCAP, maybe an ASCAP 2017, probably 2016, around there somewhere. Um,
I was there at both of those.
you were there both of those, right? I think S1 was there, and so was Cowrick was there, right? I think Chris was there too. Um,
Okay.
I mean to say his whole government name. My bad.
Uh,
um,
Manager Clear Chris
yeah,
Evans.
Chris Cleric. Yeah, Chris. And I think that's when I first met him and was introduced to you, and I think that was the first time I actually met S1 was um, at that ASCAP. And so I had just been following your trajectory ever since then, uh, and just been intrigued with. I'm always intrigued just by people's journeys and the things that they've been involved in. And as your career has progressed, which we'll talk about here in just a moment, there are things that you've done that are groundbreaking that I think other independent creatives, especially in the music space,
Mhm.
may have sought to do, but maybe just didn't have the resources or the mindset or the know-how to get those things, get those things accomplished. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah,
Yeah, that means a lot, in that I think. it's tough because I find myself, you have all these things that you do and you're doing well. Like, I tell people that production is the root of my career tree. Like, everything is based in music production because music production made it all possible, whether it's, my artistry, whether it's writing the book, whether it's getting into film. Like, I just think that creative notch on my belt opens up all the other things. But with that being the root of my career tree, it's a lot of branches.
Mhm.
And early on, like, just being able to dive into those things because I found myself, as much as I love being a music producer, I'm more than that. And that's not even any, definitely not no shades and no shots to people that are just solely grounded in being the best producers they can be, because that's wonderful. And I see a lot of my counterparts, um, social media is blowing up, or even blowing up in the industry because they're focused on that skill set. But I was going to be doing myself a disservice if I didn't figure out a way to be like, hey man, I can edit film and I can write and I got comedic time, and let me dive into film. So you grow that branch, and then you like, man, I need to sit down and write this book, and it came out crazy 9 years ago. These beats ain't free, so that's another branch. And then, hey, I have a way that I look at things, and I can help people educationally. So a school like Berkeley comes a call, and then you like, hey, I'm busy, but now let me focus on this being very strong branch in my career tree. And so sometimes, even with that, I do find myself, it's a blessing, and I don't want to call it a curse, but it's also a stressing too, because sometimes I wake up like, what am I gonna do? You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
am I gonna edit this film? Am I gonna do this? So it's tough. So you have to prioritize things in a certain order. And sometimes I can't brand myself as just a producer. So sometimes I just want to make a beat and post it. And I'm like, nah, I gotta keep a lot of my stuff offline just due to the way that I promote and sell my things. So it's just like it's a blessing in ways. But it's also like it's tough because it definitely, you wake up having to be a master of your time and your schedule so that you can be a master of all these things. But finally, as I say all that, I say, before you can grow branches on your career tree, you have to really be strongly rooted. So I will say music has strongly rooted me in something to where I think I've put my 30,000 plus hours into music as a whole, to where at that point I can venture off and master other things. So if you I would say, people coming into the industry, you do need to master a thing first, and then from there, you'll be able to really, take a leap of faith to start doing other things if if you're so inclined to do that.
Yeah, because I think the common theme that happens within the independent music space is that I feel people think they have to do. I got to do this. Okay, I got to be a rapper. I got to be a, um, a fashion person. I have to be a photographer. I have to be a model. Right? I think they think about they have to do so many different things when they only really need to focus on. And that's just my perspective, as you're stating. Focus on one main thing. Get really good at that. Right?
Yep,
Allow that to be what your foundation is, and then branch off from there if you want to dive into other types of ventures. Right? Um,
I concur. I concur, man. I know. Yeah, that's what I think you should do. You should find that thing that, even if it's not your favorite thing, luckily production is one of my favorite things to do. I would say production comes second to film now, because I think film is a talent dump for everything that I'm good at, but we can get to that later. But you even if it's not the thing that uh you want to like do, or that brings you the most joy, and I'm not saying it because ultimately you want to get to the things that bring you the most joy, you really do. But if you're great at something, you have to do it and you have to get paid for it, because doing it and getting paid for it can open the doors to other things that you want to do. And so that's what you gotta, when you find the thing that you're the best at, you gotta do it. Like, Shaq didn't, shoot threes. You know what I'm saying? He did what he did. He just was in the post. That's what he was great at. So I use sports analogy. But at the same time, I mean, just saying, do what you're great at, and then the other things will attract to you.
Yeah, I agree with that. He knew he wasn't good at threes, so he was like, "Hey, I'm just going to do operate in areas that I'm really good at." So, and I think that's important, for anybody uh, who gets it. So like when I do consulting with independent artists and producers, I always tell them you have to identify the things that you're really good at. What is it that you are really good at, and let's start operating in that. It may not be artistry. Like for me, when I got into doing music production, I think I'm all right. I think I'm all right, making beats and, but I was like, that's not my strength though. I got strengths in other areas, which is what I'm operating in now. I had to figure that out. But a lot of times some people don't figure it out and they think, well, I need to do this, this, and this. But I think that the ability is so like for me, I was telling the podcast team that we shot the episode last night, is I tell people to do a SWOT analysis, right? Identify your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and then figure out how to maneuver and utilize that type of tactic or technique to further yourself. Um,
Wide analysis, that's dope. I was in
yeah.
corporate America, but I think I never. Where does that term come from? Because I'm gonna use it.
Oh, the SWOT analysis. Oh, I don't know. Somebody made that. So I don't know who came up with the whole.
I ain't even. I'm just. That's my first time hearing it. So thank you for teaching me something today. The SWOT analysis,
Oh yeah,
strengths. This is what is it? Opportunities and not opportunities.
yeah.
What street?
It's opportunity and threats.
A.
Yeah, yeah. No, so it's internal strengths, internal weaknesses, external opportunities, external threats. So, like an example, right? So this is what really made me move to Atlanta. One of the things that I knew when I was doing my own personal SWOT analysis was that a weakness for me was that I was not in a city that was music based. Right? I mean, there's no industry. There's really hard. There's people doing music, but not of that caliber. I mean, in St. Louis, we had Nelly, Murphy Lee, Kiwan, Tefpo. We had there's people in St. Louis who are at a certain level, um, but not like Atlanta. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, if I'm going to really do this music thing, I can't be here. I got to be somewhere, right? So it was a weakness, but in order for me to overcome that weakness, I had to take advantage of the opportunity, which was to move to Atlanta. And so that's kind of how the SWOT analysis works, right? You identify your internal strengths and weaknesses. Like for me, I can't play keys. That's not a strength of mine, right? So what would be and so it became a weakness. So what's an opportunity? Find other people who can play keys. So let's collaborate with people who know how to play chords. And now, I mean, I know how to do that now, but in the beginning, I had no clue. But yeah,
Not. I'm gonna use. I'm definitely gonna start incorporating that into my evaluation. So thank you for sharing.
yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, let's go back to the beginning. Let's talk about your journey. Let's talk about your foray into music. Kind of give us your background story and how you progressed into this, your introduction, and kind of to where you are today.
Well, I came up loving music, and I guess we can just start from. I guess we can start around middle school and high school. I know in middle school, like Outkast was my favorite group, and I had a bunch of my friends who are still my friends to this day. I've been with my friends since a lot of them kindergarten, a lot of them middle school. We get to the point we had a rap group, and it was called INF. I think it was either Instructions Never Followed, the Independent Negro Funds, or whatever. That's neither here nor there. But I know the acronym changed from day to day on what it meant. But getting to the point, we were like a group. We tried to be like an Outcast slash Wu Tang or whatever we were trying to be. And I really, really, really started getting into writing then. And we used to have the cassette tapes, two different recorders. We used to write our music. We used to beat on the floor. And then we didn't even know how creative we were being, but we would do overdubs. So we record, then we switch the tapes. And so honestly, I think that there just gave me a spirit of getting it done regardless. And you'd be surprised at how good and clean those tapes sounded even with that. It was cool. So we was figuring out how to do things like that in real time. Come to high school, I still was with my same group, and this was back in the day where it really wasn't any internet. I think it was still dial up days. So wasn't any YouTube, wasn't really too many software programs like FL or things like that. So if you wanted to be a producer, if you wanted to be in music, you really had to earn it with expensive hardware and studio time and doing all that stuff. So even at a young age, I knew I wanted to do that. Was more of an artist back, what I'm saying, in high school and stuff, writing, doing things. But I know one of my homies, he was the producer. And he was cool with making beats, but I remember it was just a certain sound that I wanted. So he gave me this little beat machine. I don't even know what it was. It had a few features, and I ended up making a song with a beat. It was called the Whacknophobia. Well, we thought that was the bee's knees, and so it was cool. It was like my first beat, and to me it was dope. I was like, okay, so that was cool. So I did that. Went to college, and I still was an artist at UNT. Shout out to UNT Mean Green Eagles. It's my alma mater. But in school, met up with my homeboy named Rusty, and he was just a dope producer on a level that at that point I had never seen. Like he had the Trident key. This before like software really hit. But he had the Trident, he had the motif, and he would just play these beats, and they was just crazy. So I don't recommend this, and that's why I had to go back to UNT to get my degree. But we would just skip school, skip class. We'd be in the apartment. Just our major was music, like day and night. Like I went. UNT is a great music school, but I went to it, and outside of a few music classes, I was majoring in computer science, which I hated, but that's another story. But we day and night. He would make beats, I would write. We would release mixtapes, while just that type of stuff. So Rusty ended up leaving school, and so I became a artist without a producer. So at that point, I got a program called Reason. I think it was 1.5 from my one of my musical mentors, Silent Assassin. So shout out to him. And so I just started dabbing in the Reason, because since I was an artist without production, I had to something had to give. So that was just a testament of making it happen no matter what. And so I started really liking production. And mainly, Kanye West was that's when he first started really hitting his stride. So Kanye was really inspiring me as an artist and producer. So that's mainly what it was to make beats for myself. But then I found that was a great way to fuse relationships with people, because as an artist, it was more artists than producers at that point. A lot of people was trying to be artists then, and it was more of I was a threat. I mean, not to them,
Mm.
I wouldn't my eyes, but to them, it was just kind of weird. But when I say, hey, I make beats, be open, and then there were financial opportunities and stuff like that, even in college. So I sold my first pack of beats, and that's why even my first beat album was I sold it to my homie, and that was for a college student. I think it was about 5 tracks, but it was about maybe about $300 something. It was a nice amount of money for a college student. And so from that point on, I was like, yeah, this is what I'm going to get paid for. And I had the whole mindset of potentially going to Atlanta, etc. But I've always just been so in love and enamored with my city. I was like, nah, I'm going to get it up the mud. I'm going to get it from here. So that's why I never left. So I stayed, and now I was a producer and an artist without a recording studio. So then I started investing in mics and learning mixing and engineering. And it's taken me a while. It's taken that, like, now I think I'm a solid engineer. But that was definitely, and still is always the third thing. It's always like, my production, artistry, then my engineering. But I think my engineering is definitely getting up to par now. So that's that started that. And then I came back to Dallas. It was a thing that I saw, and that's when I first saw S1 in person. It was a guy named Rob Victim. He's doing this thing now on Instagram. I see him posting his beats. They going crazy. So shout out to Rob. He's locally based in Dallas. So he was putting together this beat battle. I think I'm naming a lot of Dallas people, so a lot of people would know. But my boy Picnic was there, and S1. That's the first time I saw him in person at this beat battle. I think I was coming back from college, all of 22 years old, maybe 23. And so I saw S1 and him at this beat battle, and my boy Ness was in it. He actually won it, but so he was going against S1, who had won like a bunch of weeks in a row. And I was like, this is the level of stuff that I want to get on. This is the kind of beats I want to be making. Really get into this beat battle culture. And so um beat battle culture ain't as strong as it is now, but I remember like that year I came back, it was strong as ever. They had Red Bull, which I ended up being able to compete in St. Louis. You know what I mean? So that's another story too. I always go on tangents, but anyway, staying focused. So I started getting to a lot of beat battles, and I would win most of them. I remember my first one, we traveled to Houston and I end up going down there and winning that. A lot of people from the H weren't happy about it, but
Mm.
it was what it was. And then I remember losing some to great people. I remember it was one beat battle. It was just a slew of top tier producers in it, like my boy Sapphire. Man, who else? It was some top tier producers in this one Houston battle that I did end up losing. And then so we definitely then it was one in Dallas that we put on that was put on. It was one of my favorite ones. Ended up winning that against some top tier talent. And so I learned in these beat battles how to control people's emotions and thoughts with just music. And that's why I think even if you hear my beats today, even in a commercial and industry sense, they always have beat battle elements like drops, stops, starts. It definitely is contained in a more professional level where it's not like street ball, because I think beat battles are like dunk contest and street ball for music producers, but it has those elements and it puts it in a professional sense. So beat battles really honed my musical ability, it honed my creativity, and I loved them. Then it got to the point to where beat battles were cool, but I'm like, hey, I'm showing people my talents. I'm getting noticed because even when I won the ASCAP I standard beat battle showcase in 2010, and that was a long time ago. But that really started getting my name kind of ringing out in California. California's been great to me. Every time I go out to California, like or LA specifically, a lot of love is shown, a lot of business connects happen, and LA's been great to me. So I just started winning these things, and then it got to the point of how do I transition my sound to the industry, because the industry is just is as much as I say I'm not in the industry. My music is is not for me. Of course, you have to dibble and dabble in it, but just the way it is, the clicking is. It's a lot of things in it that are not for me. But what I do try to do is I send my music on journeys in the industry, and my music always gets in it because I try to make undeniable music. So I was trying to get that to translate to the profession, and I think I had a placement before I met S. I think it was on a Slim Thug track, and I had like some connects with Scarface and some other things. But I pretty much always had the if you build it, they will come mentality. And I started a company after a studio that we had called 808 Studio, 80s Baby ENT. I was kind of like trying to do my Dallas New Age Motown thing. And I've always, even though I was an artist, I always wanted to lead music groups because that's still, even to this day, that's like my ultimate dream. You can put together some infrastructure in Dallas, have a phone system of top notch musicians and people, and just create and just build in a studio and just create a form system of great music that could go to the market as far as the industry. So that's what I was trying to do at a young age. We had some success with that, but when that ended, I was like, now it's time for me to at least get my production majorly. So S1, my big bro in the industry, who's done a lot for me, him and his wife Teresa, got to give him kudos and shout outs. But he was fresh off of the power track. What's funny is that in this day, like S1, kind of, it's almost like we was in college, but he was like a couple years ahead of me. So he'd win a tournament or a beat battle, then I'd win it. Then the following year or years, and he'd do something, and I'd do something, and it was just kind of like following in his footsteps. But then he did something that's crazy. He went from here, went quiet for a little bit. We like, hey, what's up with S1? All of a sudden, power track produced by S1, and everybody was just like, oh shit! Like you got to think about it. That was crazy. Like to that point in a producer community, somebody doing something like that was nuts. And it was always just love between me and S. Like I would see him, and Vaughn was super little back then, and he had love for me, I had love for Vaughn. We would just see him, and it was just all love. So to see him do that, everybody just was rooting for him and was happy. But it was cool that I kept that relationship with him cool, and he liked my music and things of that nature, because he was like, hey, I'm building a production team. And I think I was the first person to sign his imprint. So due to the relationship that we built and all of the things that we did previously, he offered that, and it was a good opportunity. And so I would just create ideas, we would collab on things, and I just kind of really got to work as far as, hey, this is going to be kind of my foot in the door with somebody that I trust. And somebody, like at this point, like I say, it was like a thing like, hey, I just send him ideas, we collab on them, and he may send it to Kendrick. Like the stories that we got, it's a lot of songs that made it, but the stories of the songs that we got that didn't make it, that's the
Mm.
thing, and it wouldn't believe songs with Kendrick, songs with yeah, a lot of great things that I hope one day, what I'm saying, the world can hear, and some of them even I can hear. But getting to the point, like we made a lot of great music, collabed on a lot of things. I learned a lot because it's funny. I thought my sound was ready to go and refined then. It was good, great idea wise, but it's taught me a lot about soundscaping and doing things like that. And so I think like just with some of the tracks, it was we collabed on Welcome to America by Lecrae. It started in my studio as an idea. It's fine tuned it and just and I learned, and it got to the point to where we did a lot of things in a short period of time, collaborating, and I learned a lot from him. Not only did I learn a lot from him creatively, um, me being so much on my business is a testament to him and his SKP imprint too, because a lot of people come into the industry and as vultures, um, like trying to take from them. But they showed me the way, like, hey, this is what this is. This is what publishing is. This is how much this would be. You know what I'm saying? And so it was business up front, and I got used to being paid. So like, unlike a lot of producers, they're used to not being paid, so they're not appalled when the situation goes awry. I have a few situations that have went awry, not many. But it don't matter who you are. If you're a up and coming artist, or I I have weird relationships with some of my heroes, some of my former heroes, not to be named, that that like very seldomly happens, but got unpaid invoices. And I'm not a person that's just gonna be like, hey, well, I love your music, you did so. Oh, we go no, there's there's a business problem there, and I pointed out, and so what I'm saying, I'm still proud of myself for being a person of integrity to myself. Like I don't care who you are, fair is fair, and I just want people to treat me right, and then on the whole treat artists and producers right, and then just so I thank SKP for laying the foundation of what uh, business values and moral values were in this whack, dirty, like crazy industry that you have to love to be in. Because if you want to make some money, go do something, go make an app or something. There's so many ways to just make money. But I'm in this because this is what God has put on my heart to do, and I'm an overall creative. So that was that. And so after that, I really just started doing me in every facet. Like I'm like, hey, I'm a creator. So if it's a movie to make, I'm gonna write the script. If it's an album to make, I'm gonna write the lyrics. If it's a beat to make, I'm gonna, what I'm saying, lay down the chords, the drums, and then just push it. If I gotta fuse it all together, I'm gonna do that. So at that point, I start making my name in the industry, and then I start working with some of my favorite artists, and just building the name just like that. And so I think I can fast forward a few years because my discography or my wiki kind of tells the story. You can wiki my wiki will tell you that, but no.
Right.
So some super highlights is being able to work with Dre due to my relationship with the DOC. That's my big bro, and to have somebody from not only Dallas, but his name Dallas Oak Cliff, which is my subdivision. So to have like a forefather in this game, like just it's cool because he's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, what if story in hip hop. But also now he's one of the best like what now stories because now he's using his tragedies and thing that happened in his life to like really give back to certain communities and to Dallas and things like that. So shout out to DOC. But we were working on some stuff. I know I was in the studio with Corrupt with him in Dallas just on something cool and random, and he was like, hey, I want you to send some beats to Dre. So we crafted a few things. He was like, hey, Dre liked the beat. And I'm just like, man, that was cool enough for me because in this industry now, I don't really care about, too much. You know what I'm saying? It's just more like, so if stuff like that happens, I don't have too many expectations. I don't get hung up in those kind of expectations. Like the things I have now are for me. Being able to feed my family with my passion and stuff is cool. So I don't get hung up and stuff like that. But that was cool. And so he said he was going to work on some stuff with Dre, And he was like, hey, you can send me a pack of beats. But I was like, and it was during COVID. I was like, I might be in LA around the time you are. And I made sure I was. Cause I was like, nah, if you in LA, let's pull up and see, what I'm saying, go to the production version of Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. So I flew out there and I linked up with Doc. We went through about hundreds of beats, narrowed that down to 10 beats to play for Dre. And around this was around the same time they was doing Doc's documentary. He has a real dope documentary that's going to be coming out soon, but it just chronicles his life and his stuff in the industry. So, man, that's going to be real dope. Check out for that. But anyway, so I say that to say it was an event. Like his daughter, Erica Badu's daughter, just to give it context, was there as well. The same film crew that filmed Michael Jordan's The Last Dance was filming his movie, so that was cool, especially as a film person. So they're miking us to go to this mythical place. So we pull up, and then we go to the gate, and then they like, hey, you know what I'm saying, who you here to see? And then we say, Dre. And then this woman calls, and she's like, hey, hey, Dre, DOC and J Rhodes are here to see you. Then I hear through the phone, he was like, yeah, let them up. And I'm like, this is surreal. Mind you, I don't be tripping off stuff. I've been in the industry long enough. Nothing gets me, butterflies and that feeling. But this did, because it wasn't just the fact that it was more of a culmination of all the work that I put in for this moment. It wasn't like, a moment. It was a deeper moment than what it was to me. So we keep going up. House is getting bigger and bigger, bigger and bigger until we get to this one house.
Right.
Cars. Like, and mind you, I'm not, it just was dope. I'm like, and it was more like, this is what you can have if you stay on your path. It was more of that. It wasn't just, okay, this stuff is fancy sake, but it was like, you doing music. This is one of your, what I'm saying, your inspirations. You're going to his house due to your skill set and your skill level. And this is kind of like, the monetary pinnacle of what you can do with music. So it was cool to see. So it's like a house, a boat. We walk over the bridge, get there, then I hear this familiar voice that you heard on albums and stuff your whole life, but hearing it in person was crazy. So it's like, yo, what's up, DOC? Like, oh, this is wild. So we go in. He's real cool, real gracious. Got to meet his daughter, his kids, etc. Went downstairs. He played a lot of music off an album that we know we've been waiting on forever. But I've heard it. It's immaculate. Like, who knows? Whatever iteration of this specific album it was
Right.
immaculate. And it was great to hear. It was cool that he shared that. Just man, the studio is just cool. It has everything that you can need in the studio to not leave the studio. Whether it's if liquor is your vice, is there, coffee, hell, snacks. It just was cool. It was super cool. So from there, it was one point he was like, just playing the keys, and I was just telling him about my name, about my, about what I've done in the industry. And so he was like, hey, well, press play. And then I think Doc was like, hey, yeah, this is one of the dudes from the city that I really think got talent. And so basically, I played my first beat, and he was like, yeah, I love that. And then he dapped me up. And he was like, yeah, man, say, J Rose, you got a little time to stick around. I'm like, hell yeah, I ain't doing nothing. This is what I came for.
Right.
So we're out there, and then I promise you, he sends a bat signal out. Like, it wasn't an engineer in there, because and I was honest too. He was asking me, he was like, "Hey, do you do Pro Tools?" And man, I was like, "Hey, I'm not that fast on that." So I was like, "Nah." But he sends out this bat signal, and then the engineer comes. I think it was a guy named Zoo, but he did his thing. You know what I'm saying? So it was cool, and I saw Dr. Dre work on a track in front of me live. A lot of people say he don't write, but it's a collaborative effort like I've never seen. It was so cool, man. It's like, he'll think of something, he'll say a line, Doc will say a line, somebody else will say a line, engineer move it here, they'll do it there. It was just amazing to see. So he's a creator, and he's definitely a musical maestro. So got a track. They sent me the rough of it that night, and eventually, like, it was gonna come out on something. I know we was finna work it out, but you know how Dr. Dre is tight with the music. He got all kind of hits up in there, but that was cool. Got to go to Snoop's studio later that night. and that was super cool as well. I was just a fly on the wall in that studio, so it was cool to see them interact with each other. I think it was Warren G's birthday. A lot of people there, like Matt Barnes there. You know what I mean? Warren G, of course, was there, and just a lot of the West Coast legends. And
Mm.
then on the trip, I got to get in the studio with Too Short, so it was and
Nice.
that was just homie Exact was engineering that session, but my boy Big Hood just kind of told me to come through, and I played some beats for Too Short, and I didn't have anything too shortish. I played some stuff. He was like, "Man, nah, this need to go on Jay-Z next album." He was showing me love, but next time I come to his studio, I'm gonna make sure I got some Too Short flavor things. But
Mm.
anyways, that was a cool trip. I think I'm just going off the cuffs telling specific stories. I hope I'm on brand with your podcast because
Yeah,
I
man.
just ran in the story, and I hope it helps you or anything. So please stop me if you need to ask me specific questions. So I'm cuffs. So am I cool to continue, or do you
Yeah.
want to ask me a
But yeah,
question?
so let's man, there's a lot in there to unpack, right? So
Yeah,
so like the first thing is of course, um, your specific journey, the different pivotal moments that took place in your journey that led to you really diving deeper into the music space. Um, and then hearing about the beat battle culture. I did that for a hot second, right? I standard came to St. Louis. I entered. I took second place. Then
right.
I went to Atlanta to do the um, I don't think they were. I don't. I think we were doing beats. I think when I talked to Hat, I think we were doing beats of the beast in Atlanta
Okay.
at
Yeah, yeah.
one of the
But
I joints, but
how many producers was it?
it was a bunch. S1 was there. S1 was there. Bink was there. Focus was there. They were the judges
Mhm.
for this. I didn't do too well, right? But because man, and then I started really going to a lot of I standards type of stuff. And I
Yeah,
was like, yeah, this is not the culture for me right here. This is
yeah.
not. I'm not. You know, you got Kenny Buttons, you got Miss Madley, Nook Beats, you Brown Royal, you got oh my gosh, what's my man's name? I love his energy whenever he's doing beat battles. He's from Dallas.
Barbara stick with it.
Oh, Sickwit is crazy.
Trying to think of some of the beat, but let me see. You
He
got my
he always wears the gloves, and the gloves always light up.
Cracker. That was one of
Yes.
my one of my like back in the day, because he was one of the people that he was one of the first people to get placements, with Lecrae and all that stuff. So yeah, yeah, seeing his transition into, like, he was, industry stuff. It's almost like went from beat battle to trying to get industry or whatever, and Kraken did the reverse. He was in the industry, and then he just started doing it for entertainment and for the love. So yeah, you talking about
Oh yeah,
Kraken.
cracking. Yeah.
I think that's why Dallas, to me, I would put our set of producers up against anybody's, and I think we would come out on top.
Think y'all come on.
Beat strongest here. The producers at one point in time, immaculate sounds, and people just didn't. I don't think people had an idea that Dallas producers is to me. I mean, even I think people get it twisted with, like, industry and of course placements and that stuff. That is, we can say it's a pinnacle of sorts, and that's what it's great to be there. But
Mhm.
just pure talent, like, play your beat, play my beat, see what's energy is that, not just simple flip with drums, which is cool because that's where a lot of the hits are. But I'm talking about talent, out of this world talent. Dallas got that, I promise you.
I promise you they do. Because when I started seeing talent coming out of Dallas and I was entering some of these beat battles, I was like, that's not the culture for me. Like I don't make beats for battles. And I know these guys make beats specifically for battles. I'm watching the crack and I'm watching Sick With It. I'm watching Brown Royal. I'm watching just so many people come out of Dallas and the level of talent that they have. I'm like, this is not for I think Brown Royal won the beast of the beats like 3 times in a row. Like, yeah, I'm not.
And
Yeah.
when he was, oh, that's my homie's Freddie Bruno's son.
Freddie Bruno. That's right. Freddie Bruno. I was about to ask you what's his father's name. I saw Freddie Bruno at a um, and it was him as Brown Royal. I think it was at a it was an ice standard meeting that we had at SAE. Um, And unbeknownst to us, he has a lot of connections to people I have connections to back in St. Louis. And so
Mm.
he was like, "Where are you from?" I said, "From St. Louis." I was like, "Yeah." I said, "I do music, of course. That's why I'm here." I said, but back then I was doing a lot of Christian music and with a lot of Christian rappers in St. Louis." He was like, "Oh, for real?" He was like, like Jason and all. I was like, "Yeah, I know Jason and Future and all." He was like, "Oh yeah." He said, and so we figured out that we had a lot of um, commonalities with people that we knew back from St. Louis. But to segue, like I said, I knew that culture was not a culture that I truly wanted to be in. And like I said, music production is cool. I love it. I do it as a hobby, pretty much. Um, but yeah, man, just watching your journey and the things that you've been in. So let's kind of talk a little bit about one of the things I want to talk about is these beats ain't free. I remember when that book came out, and I purchased it and went through it and read it. What was your motivation behind, especially the title? These beats ain't free.
Well, it comes from the Kendrick. This ain't free. Like it's just being funny. We would just say that, and so I just kind of would say that as a mantra coming up because I think producers is like it's crazy that we had to establish that our work wasn't free. And of course, most of the time, payment, the only form of payment typically is monetary, but there's other ways to work it out. And it's not just like, of course, it's pay me my money, but it's like, give me something of real value and we can really work something out. But it's just like a lot of times that wasn't happening. So we had to really lead with that. I wrote the book, and it was around the same time that Timbaland, and I forget, I can LA Reid, I think, wrote their
Mhm.
books. And you can have like imposter syndrome in those moments, like, man, why do I need but now my book needed to be there just as much, if not more than their books, because even though I've had a lot of success in the industry, most up and coming producers can, touch, vibe, reach out, or relate to me even more so than Timbaland and LA Reid. Timbaland definitely is one of my favorite producers and my inspiration for being a producer. So there's a place for him to say, oh, basically talk about how great he is. I mean, just to be honest, but my book, was telling you about the business of music production from a standpoint of an up and coming music producer or even a successful music producer, but letting you know that all this shit, just for lack of better words, ain't sweet. This is how you need to try to do this. You need to look at yourself as a business. You need to get you a business account. I even tell my students at Berkeley this, like, the moment I got a business account, just even a DBA at the county clerk, and start doing that, that's the moment I really started realizing that I was a business. So you have to do these actionable items and these practices so that you can really take yourself serious, because if you don't take yourself serious, how are others going to take you serious? So um I felt that even with a lot of talent, the business part was missed on a lot of people, and it was an industry that's so ever flowing that I think, a lot of people can, if you're a lawyer, you go to law school, you can learn
Mhm.
what law. Music business is so fickle, and the industry is just so bad that it's kind of like weeding through the wild, wild west. So in 100 pages, I can give you thoughts and actionable items to be able to do that. And it's crazy. It took off. It's like, you like, even with you in St. Louis at the time, maybe you were wherever, I mean, people from Australia to, man, I'm trying to see all of the places that it's been. It's really been like, England, Europe, of course, everywhere in the States, Amsterdam. I remember when I was selling the book, I would have a pin on the map for every place in the world that the book was sold. And it reached some places that I have never even set foot in. So not only is that the magic of music, but that's the power of education, just traveling abroad. So that was super cool. And that book opened up a lot of doors, man. And it's a brand. Like, I'm gonna get back on the brand real tough. The second book, These Dreams Ain't Free, since I'm doing so many different things, it's the same model, but it's just talking about music too, but just basically being a dreamer, being a brand, and actionable items and things you can do. A few stories on that. The book is wrote. I just gotta design it. Trying to put a little extra on this one so it can, I want everything to progress. I want this to be a better design than the first one. But once I do that and release it, that's gonna be more speaking engagements, going on a book tour with that. Um, and then it turned into like a series. Like, what's funny? is that may bring the show back. I'm doing a lot of films and shows now, so I don't know. But TBAF, it was fun. It was a
Mhm.
kind of more improv, but before Atlanta, before the advertisement for Atlanta came out, I remember we had some episodes of These Beats Ain't Free. And I saw Atlanta, it was crazy, before any episode aired. And the show that he made, at least that first season, was definitely almost the dream of what I would eventually want These Beats Ain't Free to turn into. So we may revisit that, but I guess I say that to say that it's a lot of greats. Like I just gotta keep, letting my star shine and rise, because I see that my mindset is really on par as far as thinking wise with a lot of the greats in this industry. So that's the TBAF brand, and some of the things that we have coming up with that.
Yeah, I think because you guys did a whole like a few shows, episodes of these thing free.
So 3 seasons.
Man.
So it was cool. It was fun. Like we were in the Viacom offices within 7 months of that show being released to potentially get it on BET. What's funny, another
Wow.
thing, I promise you, I was in the BET offices. I think this is before they really went digital. I was like, hey, if it's not gonna be on BET, yeah, if y'all we I think digital is the wave. I was like, hey, before BET Plus and all that, I promise you, 2017, I was like, man, I think it could really be and live over there. But I think at that point they didn't see it. Of course, the industry changed, everybody saw it.
Right.
But it's cool, and they were very gracious and real cool. And it was cool to be able to be there that quickly with something. And it's cool to see you guys see what gets above the surface and that you can call and win. But it's so much stuff that you don't see, like close calls and things in this industry, that you just have to move on from, because we were close to landing. It was a lot of things that
Mm.
man, these close calls, you have to have tough skin, because if you broke every time you didn't, hit that home run that you thought you were gonna hit, you'd be in a crazy house.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, and so the things that you've been doing are things that uh, our network is, and which is why I've been following your journey. Not even just from that, um, but primarily was to say, look at this. Here is a young entrepreneur in music, in film, that's creating episodes and TV shows and films that are music oriented, um, that eventually would be things that we, as we create music TV, want to create and have as our own offerings of programs to the independent music community, right? So like for an example, these beats ain't free, which then uh, was a super dope concept. I think I seen every episode of these beats ain't free. I mean, they were on YouTube, so you yeah, you go straight to YouTube and you're like, oh, that's dope, right? And then you saw a couple of people that you knew, and you was like, oh, but the educational perspective of these beats ain't free was dope. And then it turned, and well, I don't want to say it turned into, um, and then came House of Beats.
House of Beats. This now I have to apologize to the House of Beats community. Season two, the reason it's taking so long, I think we're just gonna release it on YouTube or somewhere else. Like season one was real cool. We partnered with Machine Master. Shout out to
Mhm.
AG. Beautiful show. Like reached, I think the first episode is probably over 500,000 views. It was great for the producer community. Season two, we got some new cameras. It was different and it's great. It just is a lot of footage for me to go through. We was waiting for the networks. A lot of stuff was hanging up with that, and I'm the sole editor of that, because House of Beats is pretty much like I don't know. It's great. It's the first reality TV show for music producers, and House of Beats is actually what got me at Berkeley. Not even my music. Like one of my homies, Tim Hall, who's a professor at Berkeley, also he invited me in 2019, and it was due to a lot of producers at Berkeley watching this show, which is crazy. And so I went up there. I loved it. Came back because I loved it so much. But talking mainly, season one was great. Season two, I promise you, was coming. I have so many ideas for House of Beats. I just got to make sure that I get season two out. And it's tough because at the same time I was editing the movie, going through a lot of things, moving, etc. But it's still so revolutionary that even though it was shot in like 2020 or 2021, once it drops, it's gonna be right on time. And then after that, there'll be a lot more seasons. So, hey, my House of Beats community, your patience is crazy. I really appreciate y'all, but I'm the movie King of Dallas is set. We, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna get a release date soon. So that's over here. I'm knocking out projects, clearing out the road for House of Beats season 2 to come um probably the first part of fall. So anyway, I just wanted to give that announcement and that decree that I promise you House of Beats season 2 is coming. It's just that I'm editing now. I'm going through tons of 6K footage, and it's just me. We're gonna shoot it better. The season 3 is just that season 2. We had these new cameras, and we were trying them out. So it's a new, as an editor, it's a new thing. What we did on House of Beats, we don't do now. We House of Beats was like, anyway. It's hard, it's
Mhm.
tough, but it's just more like soon, sooner than you think. I will have House of B season 2 edited, and we'll get back on board with the first reality TV show for music producers. So I just did my little advertisement there. But House of B season 2 is coming.
Yeah, absolutely. I think House of Beat season one was so dope. Uh,
Thank
just from that perspective of being a reality TV show for music producers. My, so let me kind of give my own future prophecy, I guess in that sense. My goal with this platform, We Create Music TV, is to be able to have a network like Netflix, right? I always akin it to like Netflix,
you.
um,
Okay.
but Netflix for the independent music community, where we work with other creatives like yourself to position their shows, movies, music on our platform, kind of like I don't want to say Tubi, but but maybe
But,
like a Tubi, probably like a yeah,
hey, yeah,
but
to be well, that's another story. But yeah, like somewhere where you can get your stuff seen.
some place where you can get yourself steam, a place where we create original programs because we just came up with an original program that just dropped this Monday called Sync Masters, where we are featuring people who have major placements in the sync world, and they talk about their journey and how they create music for sync licensing. Um, but the overall goal is to have
And I know you're my bad, but when you say stuff, I'm just trying to think. I tell my students, I tell everybody, sync is the last thing it seems like where the money ain't funny. Especially if like a company reaches out to you for a specific thing, those checks, like another thing had a potential check with the Killer Mike Yes song that was enormous. So it's just like, yeah, just sync is where it's at. So that's I just wanted to make that point.
sync is absolutely where it truly is. But yeah, so sometime in the future, somewhere, as you're creating your films and your shows, um, there's going to be where, and this network gets to the point where I envision it to be. Um, we'll have that conversation when we cross that
I'm
bridge. Yeah,
I love it. Content that can just go in various places that you just gotta get it out to the people.
that's right. So these beats ain't free, and then it led to House of Beats, and then it led to It's a Wonderful Plight.
Yeah.
Talk about the concept of the film, the process, and even getting that film on Amazon Prime.
Um, man, it was me and Corey
Cool.
Williams
Hmm.
did a lot of stuff up to that point. Like we got to the Gentleman Jack Film Festival twice, like with some of our shorts, even the American Black Film Festival. But I just had an idea at the American Black Film Festival. When we was there, we were around Black Hollywood, and I was like, "Hey, bro, we're gonna do." I had the idea for that and King of Dallas at that same thing, and I just told Corey, I was like, "Hey, it's going to be like the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future. But instead of that, it's going to be the ghost of woke past, present, and future, walking an Anglo-Saxon man through the history of the Black Plight, the same way in which Ebenezer Scrooge understood, his hate for Christmas and why it was like that. we were just letting the uh, uh, man what was his name? But anyway, Brian Shorkey, the actor, we were
Mm-mm.
just getting school on the black plight, like in that same manner. And it was very tongue in cheek. The comedic timing was amazing. I mean, by the time the film released, it was in USA Today as one of the best films to see of the summer. I'm talking about an indie film that we paid 20,000 for, if that. And I didn't lack quality. Like, man, it was a beautiful film that got a lot of recognition. We got to talk to Sway in the morning about it, got on the Black News Channel, and it just was really all the rage. We got to talk on some local networks a lot about it, and it really did its thing. And so to be our first film to get picked up, by some networks, and then Amazon, for it to be on Amazon and still on Amazon now for purchase. Also, I mean, you can even, speaking of Tubi now, after you do your cycles with a film, all films pretty much at some point gonna go to Tubi. I'm telling you straight up. Like at
Sure.
some point, you got a certain film like ours, it won't start off there. Like some films start off there. It's cool. It's whatever you can, whatever platform you are on that people can see your film is cool. But at some point, what I mean, like in the film world, it's a lot of different levels and iterations of your film. But after a lot of people have seen it and it goes through its cycles, a few years later, it will, what I'm saying, eventually go there. Not a lot of them. So anyway, I say this to say that you can see it on, purchase it on Amazon, or you can even go to Tubi, like at this point. But I love the film. It was beautifully shot, and it was really it showed how we could make something grand with what you have. Like, we didn't even have official film cameras for the film. It was some good DSLRs, but we edited it right. We knew our tools. And since the film cameras were smaller, we could put them in places where you couldn't put big film cameras. And we learned, I think we maximized what God gave us on It's a Wonderful Plight, and it shows. It's a beautiful film. And I think as my other films reach the surface, and as the for lack of better words, legend grows, as J. Rhodes, the director, and they get attracted to these films, people will back catalog and really understand how It's a Wonderful Plight. To me, it was a masterpiece. It really was, and I don't say that lightly. So y'all got to check that one out. It was a beautiful project.
Yeah, it's the one of plight. As soon as I saw that, I think you were talking about it on social media, and I was like, okay, cool. Let me go check this out. And of course, we have a mutual friend, um, who I've been trying to get to be a part of what I've been building for the longest time. And so, shout out to KB. And so, KB, as soon as you this KB, you know the deal. Okay,
Yeah,
she already knows though. But
yeah, that's my
yeah, yeah, that's the homie right there. Um, but when I saw that, I was like, and see, that goes back to what I was saying, right? It's working with the tools that you have in your hand, and it's putting out content that's great. As an independent person who doesn't have the budget of major film, or even major indie film companies, you and Corey and your team putting things out, and the story was great. I watched as soon as it came out. I was like, I'm going to go watch this one of J. Rose. I got to watch that, right? And it was a great film. Now I'm waiting to see King of Dallas.
King of Dallas. King of Dallas, man. Okay, so
So let's talk about
I
King of Dallas.
let me go on my King of Dallas. They like my usually, like, these are my artistic children that when you mention them, I get so giddy and happy about. But man, it's all of my films, because some of my favorite directors, whether it's uh some of my, let me just speak especially like to my favorite black directors, like you got Spike Lee, Jordan Peele. I can go on and on, but let's just start with those two, because a lot it's specifically Jordan Peele, on how his things have racial undertones, kind of like have a, not even, maybe sometimes a hidden message, maybe sometimes not so hidden. So that's kind of what my films are based on. Not saying all of them have to be, just so, racially motivated, etc. But there's gonna be something culturally that moves me, because that's why you put your effort into it. I make films to make people think, and kind of to speak from my standpoint. So It's a Wonderful Plight spoke, what I'm saying, just to white America on certain things, because it was a lot of civil unrest and racial tensions during those times. it was like Botham Jean, of course, right 5 minutes away from me, got killed in his own apartment. And then
Mm.
Tatiana for worth. It was a time where this film was needed, and it was during COVID. It was a crazy time, and this film brought people together because before it came out and even went to the theaters, we had a drive through that brought the city out. So anyway, transition. From that film, to me, I think we needed to do something bigger and better. So when you have such a great film that was done so good on a lower budget, we raised money for this one. I was like, hey, I have the idea for a post-apocalyptic film. Now it's going to be $1 million film, but we're going to have to do it on an indie budget. And we did that. We got helped out with some locations, an abandoned prison, just some rural looking things to make Dallas look like a post-apocalyptic 2097 version of itself. And it was tough. It was very tough. I think uh, around the time of filming, I started working at Berkeley, so I was having to fly back and forward. But it deals with colorism. I can talk a lot about It's a Wonderful Play because it's out, but I have to be kind of tender with
Right.
King of Dallas
Yep.
in a post-apocalyptic fashion. And I've said this on Channel 8, so I can say it again. It challenges these white audiences when they watch it to accept the film where they're not the center of it, of the world or whatever. And once they can do that, they can just enjoy the film. But it also challenges us in Black America to just understand some of the plights and just really look at ourselves and on what we can do better internally policing our communities and some of the things that some of the internal, in essence, we don't call it racism, but we call it colorism. But some of those things that we put on ourselves, and it's like the message is embedded in it, but it's an action film, it's a drama film. It has everything about it, a little romance in there, you know what I mean? And just the visual. I think more than anything, I'm a visual person. So um I take the way I just like things that look beautiful or that look, what I'm saying, just beautifully shot things. That's my MO. The way it looks, a certain perspective, so we get the most out of how our films look on our budget. And we out here, close. We got a release date, can't tell you yet, but we got a $1 million plus film coming, and it's the
Mm.
world is gonna love King of Dallas, man. And I can't wait for the world to see it. I will say August is when the world will get its first glimpse at that film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see the now you got new cameras and everything, right? So I can't wait to see what happens with the film and the trajectory and the message and things like that. So I'm a film guy. I love films. I love cameras. I got 5 cameras. Um, yeah. And you mentioned in the beginning, you said that film and the creative aspects of film probably has, I don't want to use the word taken over, more of the desire for music, probably. I know it has for me specifically. I know that for me, music has taken a back seat to film.
Film for me is just like a creative dump of all of my talent. So I think that's why I love it so much. So it's like you got your film right here. So if you do your music, you can make some music specifically for the film. We know the film is coming out, automatic placement, automatic use of your creativity. You got a joke. Oh, let me see. This will be cool incorporated in this film. You work with your creative community. Oh, how about you be an extra? How about you be an actor? You're good at this, you're good at that. Just everything that you do can go into a film, promotional tactics, like all of the skills that I picked up along the way. A film is a big project and it forms community and it is an ecosystem in and of itself. So that's why I love film so much, because everything that you do gets utilized. All the creative aspects, all of the working aspects get utilized into this big old project. So that's why I rock with film the most now. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it allows for your creativity to go to a different place. Music music, of course, is the creation, development of sounds, and putting those sounds in composition to make um, a finished product. But film, for me, film is so much more from a visual perspective, and there's so much more that you probably can communicate that you may not be able to communicate via a song. Um,
For sure.
because most people are visual people, so you can communicate a lot of different things visually, which incorporates music and all of these different undertones uh, through the convention of of a film.
Hmm.
But yeah, like A Wonderful Plight is a wonderful film. Can't wait to see King of Dallas. I know that's going to be as wonderful as It's a Wonderful Plight and House of Beats and These Beats Ain't Free. Like I said, in the beginning, the things you've done are probably groundbreaking within the music community because there has not been a person or persons within the independent music community, at least I've ran across, that have done and are continuing to do the same things that you've been doing in your journey from that creativity perspective. So, like I said,
Thank
shout
you.
out.
Sometimes I think so. I mean, I agree, and it's not even like the tooting of the horn, but it's just like that's my purpose, that's my passion, and I got to stay grounded in that, and that's why I can't just commit to just being producer that just makes beats, does this. I do that, and I love it. I try to at least now I try to make myself start the day with making a beat because again, production powers everything else and has powered everything else. But my journey and my goal, I know it could be easier to, maybe try to go viral, just doing the beat thing, doing whatever. But that's not my mission. My mission is to put all of my creative entities together. And I think my road will be longer because it's a film. The main thing is a film. And so I'll get my audience. Some people can get their audience by going viral and do it quickly. My real true audience, especially being a director in the forefront, comes from the content of a completed film. So that may take 2 years.
Mhm.
Maybe sometimes it may take 2.5 to do it all, like King of Dallas has took. So that's kind of like I'm a long form content person at my core.
Okay, so as we start to kind of put a bow on it, you were talking about being a professor and associate professor at Berkeley, but even before that, I want to talk about Media Tech Institute in Duncanville High School.
Hmm.
So
Oh
so
well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
I let me see. Media Tech. I taught a business class there, and it did its thing. I met some cool students up there, and that ran its course. Duncanville, one of my friends taught out. I think I spoke at Duncanville. I've never taught at Duncanville. So I've never taught at Duncanville, but my one of my friends does work up there, and I support my boy Rusty Reed up there doing his thing in the film department over at Duncanville. If he needs my help or anything, I'm open or whatever. But Media Tech was, like I say, it was cool to teach a business course where my book was the required text, or one of the required texts, so that was cool. But Media Tech definitely opened up the door for me really knowing that education was where I wanted to be as well. So that was around the time of my book tour. I know before I taught at Media Tech briefly, I went there on one of my book tours. I went to a lot of the SAEs across the country, just talking about These Beats Ain't Free and selling that book. And so getting to after those things in 2019, I got invited to Berkeley again due to House of Beats. It was just such a beautiful place. I wish I would have known about Berkeley because as a young kid, that's where I would have went. I love UNT, but I wouldn't have went there. I would have went to Berkeley College of Music to pursue my musical endeavors. And I feel that so anyway, I'll get to the point of education and informing inner city communities about certain possibilities. But in 2019, it was just cool. Like some of the graduates, Rohan, I think I forget his name, but I was big into Game of Thrones back then. We were at this place eating dinner. They opened up this door and it's a full piece orchestra playing a Game of Thrones theme because they were honoring some of the graduates. The composer for Game of Thrones was one of the graduates amongst the wealth of beautiful people. But it was just cool to be just in the midst of that environment at Career Jam at Berkeley. Like they were honoring Sylvia Rome, so the students did a wonderful concert honoring her. I got to meet a lot of cool people, and I was like, if I'm going to be in education, this is where I want to be. I think I was on the program. I was right next to Sylvia Rome on that program and Maverick Carter, I think, one of LeBron's boys. So I'm like, it was cool knowing that at least in program form that I'm on the same par as some of these great people. Like I mean, even though of course they've done wonderful and amazing things, that it was cool to know that now I'm now on that side for what I do. Of course, I got a long way to go, but it was cool, and that was something that I think it meant more for me than it probably meant to Sylvia and Maverick. But it did mean something to me to be next to them on that program. And I just really loved Berkeley. I love the vibe. I love the energy. And so I wanted the opportunity to come back if it so happened. And then they opened up this new program called IRP, Independent Record Productions. It was kind of like something new because they see and they saw where the industry is going, and they felt that I was a perfect fit. And after a rigorous hiring process that I now know is rigorous, I had 3 interviews, and I just say, hey, I'm gonna do my best, and if it's for me, it's for me. But now being on the hiring committee at Berklee College of Music, that to get up at Berklee, it is a rigorous process. So it takes not only a skill set, great interviewing abilities to be personable, but it takes, I don't know, God blessing you for that opportunity to be
Mm.
yours. So it was a rigorous hiring process. And they said I was hands down the best candidate, which was overwhelming, and it was very humbling. And so I've been up there for I think about 5 semesters, and I love it. It's cool, and it's cool to see where the program is growing at such an established institution. It's good to be one of the pivotal pieces on bringing Berkeley into the next level. And it's a great place, man. It's great, and to me, it's the best place to do what I do at. It's a place of growth. Um, they honor they like they see the value in what I bring in the students. I think I had one of the most overwhelming and enriching moments of my career at the graduation. The first graduating class of IRP walked in May, and just to go there, to put on I think they call it the regalia. I need to learn what they call it because I'm gonna be going to a many more commencement. But just to put on your gown, and just to walk out there to see your students walk across the stage, to hear them tell you about how valuable you were in their lives, and just the love that they show and the love that you show them in return. Every commencement will be my favorite part of my career. That's the enriching part. Like, it's a lot of things in the industry that can get murky and get muddy, and ultimately, like, I mean, we're delivering these kids to a tough industry. But it's cool that for those years that they're at Berkeley, they get to learn it, and they get to learn it in a scholastic format, and there's a community that can prepare them for that. And I tell my students also, like, hey, I'm your now that I'm your colleague, like, hey, my door is always open, my email is always open. So it's cool to see, some of these future stars. I know some of these students that's so talented, they will far surpass me, and that's the whole goal. And being a professor at Berkeley is something that you could do for the rest of your career because it's an enriching thing. I can't wait to see the stars that it creates. And even if they don't reach stardom, just to be able to do what they love for a living, and to say that I was instrumental in helping that. I teach them a lot. I would hope I did, but they definitely teach me daily. So yeah,
Mm.
Berkeley is the place to be, and it was a God thing for me to be there. And I love the impact I'm making, and I'm still new. Like, people at Berkeley, some of the people have been up there 30 years plus. I'm a little bit over a year in the game, so I'm getting better. It's one thing to know. It's one thing to know your skill set and know what you're doing. It's another thing to teach that to other people. So you get better and better with every semester. So I can't wait to come back. I'm taking the summer off, but I'm gonna come back in the fall with what I mean, with a lot of new tools to
Mhm.
teach the new.
Yeah, that's what's up, brother. That's dope. That's dope. That is once again, that's a testament to your ability to uh, further what takes place for you in this independent music space. It's like, your record speaks for itself. You have the social proof to say, hey, look, I've done these particular things, and I have the ability as a thought leader, right? Because you probably are, maybe you don't, maybe or maybe you don't associate yourself as a thought leader within this music space, but you definitely are.
I do. Shout out to, I think the first person to coin me as that is my big sis, Milani Ishmael. She like, 'cause you just do things, and you do things to the best of your ability. But she was like, "Hey, J. Rose, you're a thought leader," and I was like, "That sounds cool. Okay, I'm a thought leader." So I do. She explained it, and she coined me as such, and so I think I am, and I like being a thought leader, and
Mhm.
push forward, and it's a blessing to be holding that space.
For sure. Yep. But man, I'm sure there's more we could probably get into. I know there probably is. But I appreciate you taking the time and being here on the Indie Unplugged, just sharing who you are as an individual, your creative thinking, the trajectory that you have been on. I guess the last question would be, what's next? What's next for J Rose and J Rose Productions? I don't know if that's what it's called, but
Okay, it's a list of things. It's a list of things. August, the first wave of the King of Dallas push is coming. Official date coming soon, but we're preparing some promotional things around King of Dallas. So happy about that because I make my moves like chess moves. There's a lot of things I want to do, can't do them until certain pieces move. But King of Dallas, so that's pretty much done as far as the promo. I'm doing all this because that's how my mind works. I'm putting it's like I got this little pin board in my head. But anyway, so King of Dallas it's coming soon. You know what I mean? That's gonna take the world by storm. Excited about putting the promotional things around that. Now I'm freed up to working on a lot of new beats and music. Some music for my albums I can work on. Music is easy to me in the sense of if I'm just making beats, recording records, doing things with all the tools I have. Just need to set a little bit of time. But I'm making a lot of beats in the studio more, working on a few other projects and mine. Still some placement things in the works. There will be a Michael too. So I need to get some beats over to Mike and also one of my collaborative partners, DJ Menace. So I'll be doing some of my own stuff, but also always got to collab with my boy Menace. The energy is just great when we do. So like I don't really try to chase too many industry projects, so to speak.
right.
But certain things I want to be on. So I'm working now for the Michael 2 project, even though I don't know when Killer Mike will release it. It could be 5 years from now. I'm gonna have about 200 beats to submit for that. So that's what. Um, Also really like my book. These Dreams Ain't Free. It's done, but now that King of Dallas is finished, now I can put my focus because I'm designing the book as well. Just because I find when you look for people to do things, it just takes longer. Some things I need a specific thing. Other things, sometimes I just need to learn to do it. So I'm trying to get a different design on it. The book is finished. Once I design that book, it'll go to the people, and that'll be something around that. And then once these things are cleared, I want a clear focus to edit the rest of House of Beats because the people deserve it. The contestants who came from various cities deserve to be seen and be heard, and they will. And so that's kind of in the order of that. And by that order, summer will be over, and then it'll be fall, and then it'll be time to fly my ass back up to Boston for a little bit for birth. So that's kind of like in a summer sense what's going on. But yeah, it's a lot of things, but every day I'm actively making them things happen.
Man, busy, busy,
Yeah,
but it's great work that's being done. So yeah,
thank you.
yep, absolutely. So how can people connect with you? How can they follow you and be a part of your journey?
Simplest thing is just hit me on the gram at Jake_Rhodes. Thesebeatsaintfree.com is up. I need to update the site. It's so outdated. Not even outdated in the look, but on just what's posted. But once I finish the book and do some other things, I'm gonna do some updating in that site. But the simplest way is Justin Rhodes on Facebook. If you're on that, it's my government. I'm active on there, and the other social media platform is Instagram at J_Rhodes. I just created a TikTok because the Instagram algorithm is awful. So I'm trying to see content wise because I'm not a big poster of just content, constant content. But if I do short form content, I forget what my TikTok is, but I think stuff is easier to get out to the people on TikTok. So I'm gonna start exploring with that just for short form content. But as far as just your standard communications, Facebook or Instagram, again, at J_RHODES on Instagram, and my government, Justin Rhodes on Facebook. And I be talking to people if you wanna it's nothing. Just hit me up on there and you can reach me.
For sure, brother. But man, appreciate it, man. Appreciate you being
Thank you.
here on the Indian Plug. Learning more about you once again. Uh, and so it was good to see you again. I mean, I haven't seen you since 2020. like face to face
Except
2018. But
when-
yeah, for sure. But ladies and gentlemen, once again, no, go ahead. What you gonna say?
oh no, I'm just saying thank you for having me.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, anytime, brother. Anytime. And we're gonna have that future conversation somewhere down the line once the network gets to the place where I envision it to be able to make those type of deals and connections for those types of programs that you're creating. So um,
No, love it. We definitely gonna have a conversation, and I know you'll be there sooner than later. I see the vision, I see the dream. So yeah, let's do it.
appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you for tuning in to the Indie Unplugged. I am B. Vaughn. This has been our interview with Jay Rhodes. Make sure to check it out. Make sure to follow his journey, connect with him as well, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok when it comes. Make sure to check out It's a Wonderful Plight, King of Dallas when it drops. Go back and watch These Beats Ain't Free, House of Beats, all of his journey. Go back and watch and take a look at the trajectory of the things that he's been involved in. It's been wonderful. But once again, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you check out WeCreateMusic.tv for all of your educational needs when it comes to the independent music space. But peace.